Hello, beautiful souls. Elena here. I am on a pilgrimage in southern France for 3 months. I'm 3 weeks in, and I was so excited to get to share this whole journey with you right from the beginning. And I promised myself to do one video a week, and I'm already 3 weeks in. And it was interesting when I first got here, all the things that had drawn me here went out the window, poof, gone. And so I've spent like 2.5 weeks in a state of like, wow, this is not at all what I thought was happening. And I have had a couple things kind of come back into focus. And so it's all exploration, of course. You know, questions are useful. Answers, less so. So I'm gonna give you a process basically that just came to me that's been really helpful for you to work with your own questions and to find your own answers. So what happened? Here's the story. I had one of the deepest experiences of being in my human self, fully aware, human mind active, like fully aware in the human self, and as deeply connected as I have ever been with Source in that state. So Source meaning like God self or the ultimate or whatever we want to think of as, the biggest aspect of us, of me, that is I, the all. And I've had deeper experiences with Source in a very meditative state where I'm not disembodied. I'm still definitely in my body. But I would say like my human mind was, not very active. And so, to me, my own awakening is about being fully present in my human self and fully present in the God self at the same time. So fully aware of Source and my connection with Source all the time, and fully aware and connected with myself as human, as Elena in this moment, in this body. And I had the most complete experience of that so far. And as often happens with those experiences, it was super deep in that moment and then woof, gone. And it's so easy to want to grasp that again and to want to go back to that depth again and to do everything I was doing in that moment to go back there. And as I said to a friend of mine, okay, not my first rodeo, I know not to do that. And it was still beautiful to like watch that part of me, and to really support and be with that part of me that wanted to do that. And as I did that, as I was like, you know what, it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to grasp. It's okay to want to grasp. And I held that part, and as I held it and supported it, it relaxed into the part, the flip side of that, which is able to be okay with where I am now and go from that very narrow focus trying to get something to really open and allowing what is. And of course, you can imagine what happened. I start opening up and deepening into the space that I was so wanting to get to. Of course, it wasn't as deep. It was very subtle, and yet I could feel it happening. So this is the process that I want to share with you. I'm calling it melting. I was sitting on this place that's very sacred to me, this mountaintop, and I was holding that part that really wanted to be there, that really wanted to be back in that really, amazing space of being deeply human and deeply Source at the same time, which was not enlightenment. I've not gotten there. I'm not connected all the time, and yet that was as close as I've ever been. So I was holding that part that really wanted that and letting that part relax. And then, that part could open and help me be. And maybe I was like 1% closer to that space of being deeply connected. And as I let myself just relax and be okay with that 1%, I melted a little more. 2%, 3%, 4%. And something interrupted my meditation, and I looked around, and I was with a friend. I was with my husband, actually, who is a deep, deep friend. And he said, "Oh, how's it going? Sorry to interrupt you." And I said, "Oh, it's a little frustrating because, I want this thing, and yet, I'm only like 3% there." And he's like, "Okay, yeah." And I went back to my meditation, and I thought, actually, I'm 3% closer than I was before I started. Okay, I'm going to just let this melt. So I'm supporting this part that really wants this thing and letting it relax and do its the flip side of that, which it's really good at. Sometimes the thing that is the hardest to deal with is also the thing that is the biggest strength. The biggest challenge is the biggest strength. So the challenge is it wants it now. Its strength is its ability to relax and let it happen. So I got back into 3% really easily, and I let it melt, and I let it melt, and I let it melt. And I had to really actively be okay. And several times different things pulled me out of the meditation, and I would, come back and like open my eyes and look around. And then when I'd go back, that's when I would realize, oh my God, I'm actually 10% now. But it was so subtle the whole time. I didn't even realize it was that much deeper until I went out and came back. And it was like, oh, this is working. Oh my God. And the challenge, this melting, the challenge is to just hold that part and let it relax, not have the grasping, the yearning, and just melt, like just be okay. I had this, experience that in the moment was as deep as I could go, so 100% for me now, and yet I'm only 10% there. Like that's nothing. And yet, just relax. And so I think we were there 3 hours, something like that. Maybe only 2. I didn't look at the clock, but it was somewhere around 2 or 3 hours. And every meditation session, not much was happening. It was just like, okay, just be okay with where I am. And every time I popped out, opened my eyes, looked around, wow, okay, and then went back in. It was when I would go back in and I'd settle down that I'd be like, whoa, wow, this is totally working. And I can honestly say that process, now I'm like 10% closer all the time. It's, yeah. So it's, the process that I'm sharing with you is like, how can you support that part of you that's like grasping, that wants what awakening is for you, what enlightenment is for you, like whatever that state that you're looking for, that you're going for, that you really want, and when you have, especially when you have those experiences of like, whoa, super profound, and you want them, you want to be there now, can you support and hold that part of you that really wants and be like, it's okay to really want. It's totally okay. You are what helps me on this path. And support it and let it relax. So it turns the other side of that coin, and it just helps you soften and melt. And you'll go a little deeper and a little deeper, and maybe you won't even notice while it's happening. It's beautiful. So I share that with you. I hope that helps. And you don't need to be on a spiritual journey to have these things happen. I think you can do this on the metro. This is where I used to do it in Hong Kong. Talk about not a traditional place to meditate. It works though. You can do it. So I'm just sharing this with you as something that you can do no matter where you are in your life, in your physical situation, and in your practice. Enjoy. I hope that helps. Take care. Let me know how it goes. I would love to hear, your own version of that. Like, how do you do that? What have you discovered about that? Like, how do you do it? How do you melt? All right. Take care. Big hugs. Lots of love from the Pyrenees. Bye.